This is a Volvo 360 GLT. It is the top of the range with the Volvo, what do they call them, 3 Series or 300 Series? I don't know, most of these were Volvo 340s, which had a 1.4 or 1.7 Renault engine, I think. The 360, well, if you were someone in the 80s and you had a Volvo, you had a Volvo 360 GLT. This is top of the range. This is as good as Volvo 300/3 Series, whatever, get. This has a 2-litre Volvo engine in it. It has the Volvo inline 4. They call it a slant 4? Or is that Saab? And all the toys, electric windows, central lock-in, quite plush seats actually, and alloy wheels. This car has only done about 50,000 miles and has been in the same family from new. I don't need to go into the history of it because if you watch Hubnut, which is another channel on YouTube, I'm sure you've heard of it, he's driven this car. In fact, stickers just there like looking at me, like, ugh. He's driven this car and he's gone into all the history of the Volvo 3 whatever series and this engine and the car and everything like that, and it's the better video to watch if you want that sort of thing. What I'm interested to know is, can the Volvo 360 GLT, which stands for GL Turbo, can it still produce the 115 horsepower that it was quoted from the factory with? Well, that's why I've put it on the dyno. Well, really, the guy who owns it wants to know. So let's have a look under the bonnet before we get going, see what we are dealing with. But this is a really tidy little car, this, and like it is a classic car, this now, isn't it? And my neighbour used to have one of these when I was growing up. I'm pretty sure he had a burgundy one. And I always remember thinking the rear seat was a lot higher than the front seats. Is that true? Yes, it is. Wow, that is really high. Yeah. It's like going down those stairs in China, the one that the Chinese SUV couldn't go up. That's all I remembered about it. Under the bonnet, we have a 5 Series-esque bonnet opening. This is trick, because you can do it all from one side. Up we go. So here is the beast. This is, Volvo fans correct me, I think it's the B200E. 2 litre, it even says it on the rocker cover, which is helpful. Single overhead cam, cross flow head, fuel injection. So we've got a Bosch airflow meter there. I'm just looking to see, and we've got a throttle position sensor. This could be Motronic, you know. And it's got a red block. Now, am I making that up, or does red block mean something? Is this engine not the one that was in the 240? I think this is Volvo's own 2-litre engine that came out the 240 and 740 and things like that. But I was surprised to learn that this is a short-stroke engine. You'd think this would be some kind of low-revving, lazy, torquey, long-stroke engine. No, not at all. This is a very short-stroke engine. I think it's 88mm bore and 80mm stroke. That's quite a difference. So overall, it's quite a short engine, which again surprises me because it's not like they go under the bonnet of streamlined cars, is it? And then it's slanted as well, which wins you even more space. But again, why? It's a short stroke engine. I don't fully, I mean, it does stick out the top. The timing cover is higher than the slam panel. So in fairness, unless it's mounted very high, yeah, it's still quite a tall engine. Other than that, you know, these are tough. These are very tough cars. It's well documented how many miles these things can do. It's such an old school engine bay though. You've got the wiper motor down here with a cover on it. You've got the heater blower motor in the engine bay. You've got this massive arrangement here for the air filter. And then on the other side there, you've got what looks to be the... No, that's the coolant header tank. This car is running Evans waterless coolant, apparently on my recommendation. So I hope it doesn't break. And that is on top of what looks to me to be the washer tank. The windscreen washer tank. So in theory, that means you've got heated windscreen washers. Is that deliberate? It's a Scandinavian car. I'm going to guess it is deliberate. As far as time warp goes, look at this. Look at this. And then, oh, what an old school sounding door that is. The dashboard is a box. Apart from the wheel that's in front of it. The seats, they don't, no, they're one of those weird seats. They don't look massively comfy because they're not all contoured, but they are. They're very soft. They're almost citron-y soft. Soft seats. But if you look at the back seats, the height difference. Watch this, ready? Look at that. Doesn't really, that's a bit of an anticlimax, isn't it? Maybe if I get down here. There's a big step. The reason for that is the gearbox is on the back axle. This is a transaxle at the end of a torque tube. So you've got basically as close as near as makes a difference, a 50-50 weight distribution, possibly. I don't know, maybe it is. I've got to be honest, when I got in the car to move it inside, to put it on the dyno, I thought to myself, wow, it really whiffs the petrol in here. I hope it's not got a petrol leak. That is a rear spoiler not to be messed with, isn't it? It's almost mini whale tail Cosworth-esque, and it is squidgy, like all the best ones are. Time for predictions. What do we think? For me, personally, I've not dynoed many Volvos before, and all the ones I've dynoed have been turbocharged. I'm pretty sure I've never dynoed a naturally aspirated Volvo before. They all tend to be the 5-cylinder versions. We had a Volvo V70 rolling road day many years ago. The last car that came on there with a Volvo engine was a Ford. So, yeah, I've never done anything with this engine. Completely new to me. I have a feeling. I think it's going to be about 116. A torquey engine, despite the fact it's a short-stroke engine, I think it's still going to be quite torquey. I forget what the book figures are exactly. They are on the screen there. I think it's going to be roughly where it's meant to be. Volvos don't necessarily go overperforming. They are kind of close to where they're meant to be normally, but I do tend to find that with the lower power cars, and I know 115 horsepower doesn't seem a lot. In fact, it's not really. Well, is it? See, on one hand, I don't think it is a lot. I think it's quite poor. Even for the time, it's not amazing. But at the same time, Volkswagen deemed that acceptable from a Mark IV Golf GTI 2 litre. And that was in 1998, so who knows? It's the same horsepower as a Peugeot 205 GTI 1.6. So we'll see how we go. No, I think the lower power cars like this, they tend to be there. I think she's going to do it. I think we're going to go 116/117. What do you think? It doesn't matter, I can't hear you anyway, and this video will go out many weeks after it's filmed, but write it in the comments anyway, it's good for the old algorithm. Oh no! It's all going wrong. What the hell happened there? Right, I've switched the engine off, I can hear myself think. I'm not sure how accurate those numbers are. This here is a recording of what happened at the wheels on the way up. So this is calculated, that there is calculated from that. That is fact. Torque at the wheel is a fact. I mean, like, you know, lots of other people say about dynos, you know, or they're just guesses and that. No, that is fact. Fact at the wheels, that's what it just did. Everything else from there is an estimate based on the software and coast down and everything like that. So this is correct. This is what it just did. Now that there could be higher than it's supposed to be because the car might have a problem, or it could be because it hasn't measured the coast down loss properly because it's lost the rev signal. So we'll do another run in a sec to try. A couple of suppositions on this one. For a start, the gearbox and the engine are not connected. Well, then they are connected, otherwise you wouldn't go anywhere. But there's a torque tube between them, so the gearbox isn't getting hot from the heat of the engine. It's just the gearbox oil has to heat itself through its own friction. And I don't know whether that makes a difference, how thick that oil is, how cold that oil is. The car has just driven here, but it's been parked up a long time because of all the faff I had getting the dyno set up today. So that's one possibility. But of course, if you remove this, or if you reduce this number, then you reduce this number, which in turn will reduce that number. So we need another run. That is, yeah, that's pretty poor actually. That's like Alfa Romeo 75 poor. Yeah, tacho signal. Look at that, all over the shop. I bet the little thing, the little doobree, is interfering with another one. It's got caught under a relay and it was over the top of the coil, which doesn't help. That's better. I'm going to do this run with the bonnet up. I know I'm breaking my rule, but the air filter is entirely enclosed. It ain't going to make much difference, and this car needs all the help it can get. Clamber aboard with me. So, how do we put the lights on this thing here? Is it those? Oh, so the lights are 1 and 2. Fair enough. Now the interesting thing about being in here, and you'll decide whether it's interesting or not, is the speedo doesn't work. So it must be driven off the front wheels, or it's broken, one of the two. Right, so we're going to go for an interior run. The bonnet is up. I hope we don't lose the signal this time. I'd like to get a proper, definitive answer. I'll tell you what, you don't see many cars with that telltale. The BXs have it. There's a BX up there. Remember that one? That's going on the dyno in a minute. Yeah, you don't get many with that. Normally when you put the side lights on, then you just get the dash light up. And then when you put the headlights on, you get the headlight telltale, which is... there isn't one. Brilliant. Anyway... Alright, so that's full throttle. And she's off. See the engine? It's not the sweetest sounding engine. It was still revving. There's the limiter hadn't cut in, but I don't think it was really fussed about going any higher than that. Watch the engine rev, look. There's me with my foot. It's quite cool, isn't it? Cars are cool, look at that. Alright, let's go and see what happened. Much better curve. Oh dear. Our Volvo friend is struggling to break into the hundreds. Well, it has got into the hundreds, but unfortunately it's miles an hour, not horsepower. Now, this is in DIN as well. Gee, we can't even throw the old, but we're recording in an SAE, and, you know, it would have been DIN in the book figures, so really looking for about 112. No, we are on the DIN correction factor, so this is as close as this dyno can get to a book figure. It's not necessarily what tuners would use, but I'm not a tuner. I'm just, I'm playing with, you know. So, 28 horsepower lost through the transmission. That would account for a lack of performance on the road, but it wouldn't account for a lack of performance on the dyno, because anything you lose on the way up, you lose on the way down if there is something fouling. The gearbox, the transmission losses, I don't know. I don't think we can really include that run last time. Unfortunately, I think the run that it just did, because the revs weren't accounted for, it's a bum run. So this is the first legit run. The graph is actually, it's not amazing, but it's not too bad. Does it die off here? There's a bit of a dip, which is obviously replicated. It's a replicant of the torque. The torque dies away here. That is kind of normal. That flat spot there on the power does coincide with the torque dying away, but in an ideal world, it would have come up and then probably curved down there, which would have got you to the 100, maybe. Just over 100. Oh dear. That's a shame. I was kind of hoping that this would be one of those... In fact, you know, anyone who speaks to me about the dynos, I always say to them, because certain cars, like, you know I'm biased, but they do hit their book figures. Skoda Felicia's, very good, as we know. A Wartburg, very good, as we know. Peugeot 106, very good, as we know. Daihatsu Syrian, very good, as we know. And I always say to people, oh yeah, and like BMWs and Volvos, they're always there or thereabouts. We can't even blame it being hot because it ain't. Oh. Dear sir, I'm writing to you about your Volvo. Yeah, I'm not going to do another one. We'll just call it 97.4. No smoke. No smoke. It runs quite happily. It purrs like a kitten. It just possibly doesn't like being revved that high. You know, the dyno, people could say, oh, you're putting an old car on a dyno and it's not fair on the car. It's an old car. You should respect it more. Well, firstly, bollocks. Secondly, the dyno is less stressful for this car than the drive down here that it had yesterday. The drive down here on the motorway where it's fighting against the wind and it's fighting against bumps and knocks and undulations and coming on and off the throttle, so the torque is getting sent one way then pulled the other way and all the mounts are getting twisted and everything like that. You imagine being flat out down a slip road in this and then going over a bump. The shock load that would go through the body of the car and through the drivetrain, as opposed to some perfectly balanced rollers. Yeah, no, it's fine. This is kinder on the car than driving on the motorway. If you don't want to be unkind to your car, don't drive it. Anyway, so I don't want to be unkind to this, so I'm going to stop. I don't know what could cause that. I don't know. Well, I don't want to suppose what could have caused that excessive blow-by. But no, there's no smoke. It might just be that that filler cap is a bit bunged up. It might be that it's trying to. Well, they tend to. Oh, that was close, wasn't it? They tend to suck air in through the filler cap, not expel it. So, yeah, go through the breathers on it, maybe crankcase breather, that kind of thing. It's not going to be anything major. I wouldn't have thought. And even if it is, how often does it get driven? Some 50,000 miles in like 30 odd years. So, anyway, there we go. There is a Volvo 360 GLT failing on the dyno. Well, it's not failed, but it's not covered itself in glory, has it? So, yeah, just don't tell anyone.